What's up, guys? It's your boy Barca Boy 103. Now, I just finished watching the Barcelona A New Era documentary, and I'm gonna go through it for my reaction, my review, how I thought about it, what I think about some of the Easter eggs that we were left in this documentary. Overall, I was a bit let down because honestly there was not that much behind the scenes. Basically, this was a documentary just summarizing the past 2 years of Barcelona that with clips that we've already seen. There's nothing really groundbreaking in this documentary. That's what I was expecting anyways. They were hyping this up like we're gonna get some insights and, you know, stuff in the locker room, which we did, but like your basic stuff. I thought it would be more so of like an all or nothing documentary like we saw with Arsenal, Juventus, Man City, but it was not anywhere near that depth whatsoever. But we're gonna go through it. I made notes while watching this, so I'm gonna give you guys my thoughts. So the first episode, we started off with the appointment of Xavi. He came in, he asked, he did his little speech at the beginning, which we already saw. Laporta came in and said, yeah, we sacked Koeman, blah, blah, blah. I don't want you guys to say sorry for what you've done. I want you to go on the pitch and win matches. Xavi then said, I was talking with Busquets. He told me there's no rules in the dressing room. That's outrageous. That's the first thing we're going to do is do new rules. Of course, we saw that list that came out when Xavi was appointed last year, those 12 rules, whatever the case may be. It then cut to Valverde being sacked after the Super Cup, which don't know why, and then it brought in the introduction, of course, of Quique Setien. And Setien, when he came to the dressing room, he was there with, you know, Sarabia, Bartomeu. He said that, oh, yesterday I was walking cows, and now we're coaching Barcelona. It's crazy. And then Bartomeu said that we're trying to improve, and then this is why we sacked Valverde now, because you're doing poorly. We're in the round of 16 of the Champions League. We're top of La Liga, but we still think we can improve. That's why we sacked Valverde, but I don't know how that went. Now, after the Setien's talk in the locker room, the players went out on the pitch to train, and a few of them showed up late. I think the way the documentary went is that you didn't know who was talking, so it was just like a voiceover, which was a bit weird. So I think it was PK and a few other players showed up late, and Setien was not happy about that, and we already knew this happened back in 2020, obviously, but now it's just more confirmation. Then we got the A2. They just showed a couple of montages of that. It cut to PK saying that this is the worst moment in the history of the club, and it's everyone's at fault. It's not one individual player. Then Setien gets sacked. Koeman comes in. Koeman's in the car, you know, coming for his presentation. He's so excited, saying that, oh, this used to be a training pitch, now it's a parking lot, blah, blah, blah. Now, here's where we get our first big scoop. Now, it then cuts to Koeman having a dinner or lunch meeting with Bartomeu, Ramon Plana, some of the executives. Koeman's agent was there, and Koeman's in there talking to Bartomeu about what is to be done next. And he was saying that the first thing we have to do is keep Messi. Messi must stay. This, I think, was after Messi sent that Bodo fax, I believe. He was saying that Messi has to stay. Everyone knows that he wants to leave, but we have to convince him. And he's also telling Bartomeu, it has to be me and you only. No one else has to be in the room. It's going to be me, you, and Messi in that room. We're going to sit down and talk with him. If he wants to stay, great. We're going to try and convince him. If he wants to leave, then we'll put in the media saying that he wants to leave, and we'll see what happens with that. So that was Koeman's first thing. And he also said, Koeman, that changes will happen. I'm not going to say exactly which players, although, of course, know what players they are now. But in the media, that like look, he asked Bartomeu basically for full control, and Bartomeu gave that. We then cut, of course, to the exit of Luis Suarez, and of course, cut to. By the way, these player interviews, there was not that many of them. When they would come in and like say what they think, there was very, very little of that. But it cut to Jordi Alba. Jordi Alba saying that, oh, I'm not happy with how Suarez left. He deserves a better farewell. Then we cut to Messi Siqueira because he ended up staying after Bartomeu forced him to stay the last year of his contract. Then we cut to the first games of that season under Koeman. We had the Villarreal game, Celta Vigo, and it was mainly focused around Ansu Fati shining. Then, of course, in the Betis match, Ansu Fati got injured, and Ansu Fati had a few moments. He was saying, you know, watching friends play, and I'm desperate to join them, and he was comparing it to his broken leg that he had when he was a kid, and he was craving coming back on the pitch. Then we cut to Bartomeu resigning, new election, and it just jumped straight to Laporta winning. Then Koeman, when Laporta won, Koeman came into the room with him. He said, oh, finally, we have a president. Look at this. We're all the up. This is at the point, by the way, where we were playing well. Of course, I think we just lost to PSG 4-1. We had a good few weeks. We're about to face PSG in the second leg of the Champions League. So we're on a good run. He's like, oh, finally we have a president, blah, blah, blah. And then he's like, hard times have already passed us, but now hopefully it's going to be the good time. Then we cut the Copa del Rey final. We're still in that Ansu Fati mode. We see Ansu Fati watching the game, the final from the stands. He was still pretty salted that he's not being able to play, but we celebrated. And the celebrations, I could say, were a bit excessive for a Copa del Rey. Laporta was going crazy in the airplane, just throwing the Copa del Rey trophy everywhere, and he was yelling in the locker room, but in the moment, I can understand he was just announced president like a week before, 2 weeks before, so good on that. And then it cuts to Barcelona doing well in the league. Of course, we started off very, very, very poorly. We came back up. We're in a title race. Then we lost to Granada, of course. It showed that basically on a montage, nothing behind the scene whatsoever in this montage, how we choked. And then it cut to the match against Atletico Madrid at home where we did drew 0-0. It cut to Henrik Larsson, Alfred Schroeder, and Koeman doing a tactical analysis of Atletico Madrid, which by the way was shocking. They were basically saying that, João Felix loves space, we can't give him space. Then cuts to Koeman giving them a team talk before the game, saying that, be aggressive, know when to press. And his team talk, by the way, Koeman, was dreadful, absolutely dreadful. Then of course we drew 0-0. And that ended episode 1. Now we go to episode 2. This is the point now where we started off with the episode with Messi leaving, and the players were giving their thoughts on it. They're saying, Messi's a great leader, Busquets and Jordi Alba. We cut to the press conference of Messi leaving, and it also jumps back to a point in 2020 when Valverde was giving Messi some tactical advice, saying that, when you make this run here, make sure you tell Busquets to put the ball over the top, that way it'll exploit the defense. So they were talking, I don't know why they brought that in, but anyways, Busquets and Alba were talking. Jordi Alba said that Leo wrote a big message on the WhatsApp group chat for the Barcelona, then he left it. That's when they knew the thing was serious. And then we cut to a Messi montage, goals and all that sort of stuff. We then now go to 2021 preseason training camp, of course, under Koeman. We were, they had the golf carts, they're all having fun. They're making fun of Gabi's age. Then it cuts to Barcelona signing Memphis, Aguero, and Eric Garcia, but didn't show Emerson, even though we signed him and sold him straight away. Of course, like a month later, did not show us signing Emerson, just Aguero, Eric Garcia, and Memphis Depay. We then got to, of course, the João Gamper against Juventus. They just showed Koeman's speech and Busquets' speech. That's pretty much it. Then we had the Ansu Fati, of course, reflection in the first episode. In the second episode, we go through a Pedri year reflection. Of course, he had a big year. He played, got into the first team, all that sort of stuff. We had a little bit of that. He had a little talk with Koeman after the first year. He's like, I'm doing well, but Koeman said, you know what, the second year is always the toughest. And then Pedri said, don't worry, I'm going to work super duper extra hard. And then we get to, we cut now to Ansu Fati again. He had that dead trim with the braids on it coming down his side. He was at his house making some lunch. He was talking with his brother. Then it cuts to him going to the Camp Nou for the new kit reveal presentation. And he's in the locker room talking with Mateo Aleman. He's technically, his brother was playing with the tactical board, moving the pins around and stuff. Aleman came in and said, hey, Ansu, you alright, blah, blah, blah. He's like, I have a question for you. You want to stay? Ansu's like, what do you mean do I want to stay? He's like, you want to stay here, Barcelona? Ansu's like, of course, I'm a culé. He said, look me in my eyes, are you sure? He's like, yeah, if it's up to me, I'll stay, but you never know. And Aleman's like, what do you mean you never know? He's like, if it's up to me, I stay. He's like, okay, that's all I need to hear. Then Aleman just dips right out. Also, Ansu Fati was talking about him getting the number 10 shirt. He said at the beginning of the season, he requested the number 17, but the club told him, look, we got to fill up all the numbers. What do you think about taking number 10? And then Ansu Fati said, I have to go ask the captains. I can't just take that big iconic number. Busquets and Jordi Alba and PK and Roberto said yes, and he ended up taking it, and he was happy with that. We then cut to the Bayern Munich loss at the beginning of the season. We had that Koeman press conference, of course, when he came out with just the letter and then cut. And then we had the Benfica loss, just giving us a montage of, this absolute disaster. It was a crap montage. And of course, he was sacked after Granada. Then Sergio Barjuan came in. He was the new coach in the dressing room saying, hi guys, I'm going to be here. It's going to be all about vibes. We're going to chill, just go out there and, be yourself and blah, 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 and all that crap. So we had that nice talk. And then cuts to Kun Aguero retiring, of course, heart problem. And, even before he came, the insight we got on this was that before he came out on stage to announce it, he was in the back crying with Laporta. And it was very, very sad, actually. Then we cut to the Celta Vigo 3-3, the last game under Barjuan, where Ansu Fati again got injured. We had that point, but also the fact that we drew 3-3, we were winning 3-0, and we drew the match. And ends this episode, Laporta calls Xavi at midnight in Spain, of course, which I think is the same time in Doha, and he's asking him to become the manager of Barcelona. Episode 3, Aleman and Rafael Uste fly to Doha, and Xavi was worried about his staffing issue. He wanted to be in charge before the match against Benfica, of course, which we need to win to qualify for the round 16. Heads up, we didn't. So Aleman was there, and Uste, they were talking with Xavi. Basically, they have agreed terms for him to come to Barcelona. The main issue was getting all his staff on the, salary bill and all that sort of stuff. But in the end, they managed to do that, and Xavi knew this time was the time. And also, by the way, I forgot to mention, I think in the first episode, when Valverde was sacked. The episode, the documentary said that Barcelona contacted Xavi first. He was the first manager, but Xavi said no. So that's pretty much confirmation. Now he comes back to this episode. He feels like the time is right. He joins. Then we have a montage on Xavi. All his moments at Barcelona. The main objective, of course, was to qualify for the Champions League in La Liga. He came into the dressing room and gave that little speech again. And Xavi was talking about the home players had difficulties reading the game. He said that the first thing that he noticed was that when he was had their first training session, they cut to Ricky Puig and some of the players that were in La Masia, and they lost the Barcelona touch, so to speak, and he wanted to bring that back. He said that it was an urgent restart that was needed, and he was actually shocked that there was no rules. Xavi speaking, saying how they had no rules is absolutely beyond me. Then it cuts to Marc Andre ter Stegen talking for the first time, saying that he loves Xavi's mindset. He knows that he would want to be on the field again. He said he'd do anything to be on the field again. That's a little foreshadow to what's going to come later on. And then this is probably the biggest insight that we got in this documentary. It's called Xavi's challenges. So before a game, Xavi will bring the team together and he'll set out goals. He'll say, for example, of course, his first game was against Espanyol, end of November before the Christmas break. He was like, okay, yeah, you guys have 4 days off for Christmas. You have the 24th, 25th, 26th, 27th off. If you win today, I'll give you guys an extra day off. If you score 2 goals before the half an hour mark, we'll go out for dinner and I will pay the whole entire thing. So he's giving them extra motivation to go out on the pitch and perform. So he's giving them little things like that. Say that, if you win this, no train tomorrow. So, players don't really want to train. That's them like going to work, which is understandable. So he had these challenges, and that was probably one of the big things that we got from this documentary. Then cut to the Espanyol derby. We won. Xavi hasn't been back to the Camp Nou for 6 years. He was saying how the fans have changed. There's a different atmosphere, but he loved it. Then cut to Benfica, drew 0-0. Obviously, big setback. We then cut to Bayern Munich, where we lost 3-0. And Xavi was in the dressing room before that match, reminding them about 8-2 and how we lost 3-0 to them beforehand under Koeman. Said that you have to, leave that in the past. This is now the moment. If we play at our top level, we can definitely get at them, all that sort of stuff. We then, of course, lost the game. And Xavi said after we lost this game, the team, the morale, everything was at a rock bottom. And then it cut to Xavi yelling at every single player. Now, they didn't show it, obviously, but it cut to a montage of the Bayern Munich stadium, and then Sergi Allegri, who is his assistant, was talking, saying that, when Xavi gets mad, bro, ain't no one is safe. And he was saying that, Xavi just absolutely went in on every single player. He was yelling. I've never seen him this angry in a very, very long time. He was fuming. So I think we already knew that from before as well. I think Javi Miguel leaked that during the time. So not really surprised, but that's just more a bit confirmation. We then cut to the Osasuna game. We're counting like 5 months now into the future here, where Xavi says he'll take he's trying to motivate them, saying that, look, in the press conference, I'll take the blame every single time, no matter what. I have the pressure, not you guys. He's always saying to the players as well, go out, be free. It's clear that Xavi knew this team wasn't that great, so he was relying a lot on individual brilliance. So he was trying to say, be free, take 2 step overs. If you lose it, I don't care. I'll take the blame in the press conferences for the media. It'll all be at me. You guys have no pressure whatsoever. Go out there, be yourselves, all that sort of stuff. Of course, Osasuna game, I think we ended up drawing it 2-2. Then we had the game against Elche, where we were desperate for a win. We ended up winning 3-2. Xavi, before this game, he went out saying, no challenges today. Just go out there and freaking win, man. We need to win. No challenges. Just go out there and win. Of course, in the end, very hard victory, but then we won it. Then cut to a montage about Gavi. He's coming in from Sevilla, joins at 10, doesn't play with his boots tied, all that stuff. We had a little bit of that. So apparently, also Gavi confirmed that he doesn't know how to tie his shoes. He just prefers not to. And Xavi said to him, why don't you tie your shoes? If you get stepped on, it's going to hinder you. Gavi said, I can't play with my shoes tied. I think I'm 1,000 times better without it. And Xavi said, all right, fair play, lad. So then we cut to the winter signings, of course. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, Adama, Varane, Dani Alves as well. Just them signing and stuff. Nothing really exclusive behind the scene. Ferran Torres said, once Xavi called me, I took the first flight there. Then about minutes, I was having problems at Arsenal. As soon as Xavi called me, I wanted to go to Barcelona, so that's really important. Then we cut to the match against Atletico. Well, actually, about Dani Alves, he said that Xavi called him. He said we needed some joy, we needed mentality, and we needed attitude in the dressing room, so he wanted him to come back. Laporta said yes, and then Dani Alves came back. Then showed the Atletico Madrid game where we won 4-2. Of course, Dani Alves scored. Good crazy's back, all that sort of stuff. And then we talk about the 4 Ps at Barcelona. Now, the last time we heard about the Ps was, I believe, from Thierry Henry back in 2014. He said the 3 Ps at Barcelona were pass, play in possession. You have to be in your position, play the ball, possession, all that sort of stuff. But Xavi has the new P's that he's kind of rejuvenated, and there's actually 4 of them now, which is position, possession, pressure, and perception. So those are the 4 new P's at Barcelona. So position, stay in your position. Possession, keep the ball, have high pressure, and perception as well, which means analyze where you think the ball's gonna go and make that judgment, all that sort of stuff. Then cut to Mbappé's hat trick at the Valencia Stadium, at the Mestalla Stadium, and his first start, all great for him. Then, interesting, cuts to Ousmane Dembele's renewal saga for like a few minutes, how Dembele was left out because he didn't renew his contract. And then Xavi said that at this point, when the club told him not to play Dembele anymore, he thought he signed with someone else, but he thought that Dembele was lying to him. Of course, in the end, he wasn't. Then Xavi told the team, I think it was the Super Cup against Athletic Bilbao where we lost, and Asfel got injured in that match. Before there was a team talk. He was saying that, look guys, Dembele's not here. Yes, his agent's being basically a dick and all that stuff, but he's like, who cares about him? We gotta focus on this game. He's like, oh, the agent's taking the team. The board thinks that the agent's taking the team for a ride, so we have to take these precautions. So that's what happened. And then Xavi had a big quote saying that I've never seen a winger like Dembele in all of my life in 25 years at Barcelona. Of course, he's not saying that he's the best winger in the world, the best winger he's seen, just his unique talent, his, the way that he plays the game is something that unique and that he's never seen before in 25 years. Not saying that he's the best player. I saw this quote go out on Twitter and it's being misinterpreted. That was not what he really said. Then we got a little sneak preview about the Clasico that we won 4-0. Aubameyang's in the hotel. He was trying to get this Dragon Ball Z ball, do the celebration. He's like, oh, I know I'm going to score today. I have a very good feeling I'm going to get at least 2 goals, so I need to have a good celebration. So, cuss that. Now we're in episode 4. We talk about Frankie de Jong. We start off with a little story about him, saying that his father was a big Johan Cruyff fan. Then Xavi comes in and praises Frankie de Jong, saying that he's a better talent than I was, but he needs to shoot more, needs to be more decisive in the final third. Then it cuts to Frankie de Jong scoring against Napoli, and then it says, oh, see what happens when you shoot, blah, blah, blah. Of course, Napoli in the Europa League. And then Frankie de Jong was talking, saying that he doesn't care about the rumors that happen around him. He said if it happens, if he ends up leaving, he'll be disappointed in himself, but it won't be because of him, and no one from the club has told him anything, so basically what we already knew again. Another Pedri story. Of course, Pedri came in. He's like, oh, I've been a Barcelona fan before I was born because his father actually owns a Peña, which is like, what's it called? Like a supporters group, like a founders group for Barcelona. So his whole entire family is Barcelona fans. He's been a Barcelona fan since the second he was born. And that his father cried when Barcelona were interested in him, and that when he signed for him as well. Then it cuts to his goal against Galatasaray in the Europa League, that great finish. Then we come back to Clasico build-up. We saw that Xavi gave the lineup for the team before they took the plane to go to Madrid. Xavi said that we must feel calm. We'll do anything. He said that he would do anything to play. He said he'd pay any money right now to get into the starting lineup. He said Xavi was so confident we were going to win this game. It was ridiculous. He was there like, look, I'm so confident we're going to win this game. I will do anything. I will do anything, and I'll pay anything to play in this game. Then after he said that speech, we cut to the Super Cup that we lost in January to Real Madrid. A little bit of an insight. Xavi was using Toni Kroos's press conference quote as motivation. And then, of course, we lost the Super Cup in extra time very, very unluckily. We competed very well. I think we were the better team during the 120 minutes, and so Xavi said that. Xavi said that we added it. We lost because of ourselves. And Laporta came in the dressing room, said that, look, everyone in Barcelona is so happy with the performance. We love this team. We love what you guys are doing. Of course, we're devastated with the loss, but all we ask for now is that you keep going with this level, keep going, and the results will come. Then we cut to the actual Clasico where Xavi said that we're better than Madrid. He used to talk about, how are you going to play a right back? You're going to shut down Vinicius. Then, of course, they had the vibes after the game, celebrations, all that sort of stuff. So, again, no real insight to what we've seen when the result actually happened, all that celebration in the dressing room. It was like basically the exact same clips. There's nothing really new. We then cut to Sevilla game where Pedri scored the 1 goal, went 1-0. Levante where Luke de Jong scored in the last second. We saw those little clips. Then we have a little Frankfurt preview. We're like, oh, we're going to play Frankfurt in the Europa League. Everyone thinks we're going to win the Europa League. Episode ends. And now we're on to the 5th and final episode. We start off with the preview of the summer signings. So they're, hinting, Lewandowski, Koundé, Rafinha, blah, blah, blah. But then we cut to Frankfurt where Xavi warns about giving away penalties, because during this time, we were giving freaking penalties left, right, center. He said that, guys, please, we can lose this game. I don't care, but just don't give away a penalty. Then 2 minutes into the game, Eric Garcia gives away the penalty, and Xavi was fuming, so we saw that, of course. Didn't really talk about, the Frankfurt taking over the stadium. I think Ter Stegen said, yeah, seeing all their fans in the stadium affected us a lot, but that's it. They didn't really show anything. They didn't show, Laporta's reaction or anything like that. See, that's what I wanted to see, the camera cut to Laporta saying like, yo, why is the whole stadium filled up in white? Let's go check what's going on. That's kind of stuff. We didn't see that. They just mentioned it. That's pretty much it. And then Xavi was saying that, look, it's a disappointing loss, but at the end of the day, the fans don't really care about the Europa League. And this is where I went like, huh? Like, this is a trophy. Yeah, it's not the best trophy in the world, and yeah, it's not my cup of tea, but I still want to win it. Him saying that Barcelona fans don't care about it, I think it's not really the mindset that we want, but I think now that's changed, of course. He was saying that, oh, it's devastating, we shouldn't have lost, of course we're the better team, the fans taking over the stadium wasn't that great, and we'll try and focus for the rest of the season ahead. Then we cut to Cadiz and Rayo Vallecano, where we both lost at the Camp Nou, and Xavi was saying, yep, that's La Liga gone, guys, you absolutely effed it, you're brilliant lads. He was fuming, of course. And then we come back to Ansu Fati getting injured again against Bilbao in the Super Cup. And then it had like his build up to his rehabilitation. Of course, during this time when we were playing in the Europa, Cadiz, Rayo Vallecano, Ansu Fati was back, but he was only playing like 2 minutes at the end of the game because the club were super cautious about his recovery. And I started saying that, like, yeah, I have to be very careful. I don't want another relapse, all that sort of stuff. Then we got the Real Betis match where we won 2-1. Jordi Alba in the last minute to qualify us for the Champions League, which of course was our season objective, which we ended up reaching. And then the Xavi said that, yeah, we had a shit season, but we played some good games, which means the future, there's a path for the future. We made that road this season. Now we just have to follow it for the next season. And then he was saying that winning titles, of course, is the big objective for us this season. And then we cut to the past summer signings where we signed Lewandowski, Rafinha, Koundé, Kessié, Christensen, Alonso, and Hector Bellerin. Gave a little montage of I only gave a montage, I think, of Lewandowski, Rafinha, and Kessié, I believe. We didn't get any background on Christensen, maybe a little bit. We didn't get much on anyone else. And then we cut to the boardroom meeting where it was Xavi, Uste, Cruyff, Aleman, Endrick Masip, and Joan Laporta. Joan Laporta was sitting at the table saying the main objective for the club at the moment is to get out of debt. So take that as you will. We can't guarantee these players that you asked for, Xavi, but I'll tell you what, we'll try our best to make it happen. Xavi was saying that, oh, I just called Koundé, he's ready to come join Barcelona, all that sort of stuff. And then it was like, so they didn't. I'm so annoyed they didn't say the list. So they didn't say the list, which makes me feel like there's a player on that list that we didn't get that they didn't want to show. So Xavi apparently gave Laporta a list of 6-7 names, and Xavi said that all this summer I'm so happy I gave Laporta 7 names. I got 5 to 6 of them, and I'm absolutely fantastic. Which pretty much means that he asked for everyone but Bellerin. Bellerin was a patch, of course. And who's that other player? I don't know. Is it a right back? Is it Bernardo Silva? No idea. But in the end, Xavi very satisfied with the window. He also talked about Koundé. He's like, oh, imagine Koundé and Araujo center back partnership. Oh, it's gonna be disgusting. We can play with the high line like Liverpool do. Our right back and left back can bomb on forward because we're gonna have 2 rocks at the back. Xavi was drooling with the thought of Koundé and Araujo as a center back partnership, and now he has it, but not really because our right back position is so crap. They end up playing there, but Xavi does have a big vision up for Araujo and Koundé as center back partnership, so keep that in mind as well. Then comes a little story about Xavi, where Xavi was talking about his staff being very important to him. Of course, Oscar Hernandez, his brother, Sergio Allegri, his other assistant, and Ivan Torres, who I think the fitness coach. They're all very close to each other. They hang out a lot. They talked about Barcelona a lot, so they're very close. So the staff for Xavi is very important. Now they're training, how they implement training, how they do little games to motivate the players, and that having a family environment around the coaching staff and the team and all together is so important for success. And then Xavi said that, yeah, all the players I asked for have been signed. I asked for 6 or 7 players, and I ended up signing 5 of them, so I'm very happy. I have my notes here, Xavi drooling over Araujo Koundé partnership. And then it cuts to a signing Rafinha. Laporta came to the office, the boardroom, to sign Rafinha. He was there with his family, and Deco was there. He's like, boy, you were a lot of work to sign. A lot of fight on both sides to make this happen, but I'm glad you're here. I saw you play for Leeds. Your dribbling is magical, and I hope to see that at the Camp Nou. And Rafinha's like, thank you, man. I will try my best to bring it out here. So both sides suffered a lot to make this deal happen, and now apparently want to sell him in the summer. I know. Anyways, then we cut to Christensen in the locker room being introduced to the team, and Xavi was like, oh, Christensen, if you don't understand anything, let me know. And then we get our best English translator, Jordi Alba, and then Jordi Alba, they're like, no English, no English. And that was probably the funniest moment of the documentary. Then we cut to during that same meeting because they're introducing the new signings. I think it was Kessié, Christensen, and Lewandowski, maybe. They were introducing them. Then Xavi's like, oh, we have one more new signing that I forgot to mention. Dembele has renewed. Way! They celebrate Dembele renewal. He got a double honor when they went out for training. Then they cut to back in Miami, where Xavi was stuck in Barcelona. He couldn't come to the first game when they signed Lewandowski in the States. He had a video call. He's like, "Hey, everyone, how's it going? Sorry, I'm not there today. I'll be there tomorrow." I want to start off by saying that, welcome Lewandowski. And then Gusto was like, gracias, in the background. Then we had that. We had the Clasico friendly. We cut to the Joan Gamper as well. Then we cut to Dani Alves being let go by Barcelona. Of course, he left as a free agent. Then he came in the Joan Gamper and had his farewell. Xavi was saying that, look, letting go of Dani Alves was so difficult because at the end of the day, he was not going to get minutes. He was not going to get the minutes that he wanted, but he wanted to keep him for his mentality, for his mindset, for his attitude in the dressing room. But Dani Alves said, look, I would love to stay, but there's a World Cup I really want to go to it. Xavi said, I understand. Told Joan Laporta what he wants, like, let him go, and then Laporta let him go, and they all left. But then, of course, has farewell and came back. Laporta gave a speech at the beginning of the season. He was saying he had a speech in the dressing room before the start of the season against Rayo Vallecano, saying that, look, we worked really hard this summer to make this team. All we want is two things: win and to bring joy to the Barcelona fans. That's all we want, and titles. And then Xavi, in that same meeting before the training, he was like, all right, guys, we're going to go out and train, but I have two new rules to implement. First of all, if you're late for training, you get fined 1,000 euros. Now, keep in mind, getting fined 1,000, despite they're all a lot of money, being fined 1,000 is very hefty. I think Chelsea back in the day, if you were late, you only got fined like 100 euros. That they had their rules when Frank Lampard was the coach. He had like 100, so 1,000 is quite a bit. And also, Xavi said we're gonna have dinner as a group, or lunch, as a group after training every single day. And if you don't show up to that or you're late for that, $2,000 fine or euro fine. So that was pretty big. Then this is the training, I think, for the start of preseason. He was like, we're gonna train, blah blah blah. And for those players who I told to leave, get your asses out of here quickly. And then he was just blazing at them. So he's like looking at them like, your Braithwaites and your, trying to think, like Longlets and Mingueta, they're all sitting there. He's like, yeah, if I told you to leave, find your team at ASAP. I've already let you know what I think about you. I already gave you my thoughts, so do me a favor and don't dwell around too much. He literally just said that straight up, which I found absolutely hilarious. He's like, we might maintain a good attitude and effort. And then they started to conclude the documentary. It was just mostly Xavi just giving motivational quotes. He said, I want people to start enjoying watching Barcelona play. We need to win titles. That's clear. Then it cuts to the Rayo Vallecano. The documentary ends off with the team meeting for the Rayo Vallecano, the first game of the season, which of course we drew 0-0. Xavi said that, look, with the team that we have, we must win the league, but we have to win titles, but especially the league. So he's saying that with the group that we have, league is the minimum, but titles are what we need. So we'll see how that goes. And that's it. That was the entirety of the documentary. Again, overall, my thoughts, we was looking for more insight than we got, but I'm happy to know that we got the details. Basically, we just got the confirmation of details that we already knew in this documentary, but I'm still disappointed that there wasn't that much like really in-depth behind the scenes. I think the only behind the scenes stuff that we got that we didn't know about from before was the Koeman meeting with Bartomeu, the Xavi board meeting with the Laporta, and when he was asking for the players that he wanted in the summer. And that's really it in 5 episodes as well. It's basically just reliving the worst moments of my life. I'm just there like, where's the juice? Where's the reason for me to watch it? That's what I felt. I've seen a lot of people on Twitter and Instagram and on Discord saying they really liked it, but I guess for me, I just had a high expectation. I was expecting more in-depth and more big insights. We just got a review of the past few years, honestly. Nothing really big. But overall, I think it was good. Would I watch it again? Probably not, but we'll take it on the chin. We've learned a lot. Of course, the main thing for me that I've learned from this is that Xavi really wanted the Koundé-Araujo partnership, and hopefully we'll see it on the pitch. And that this season, the bare minimum objective is win the league, which means if we don't win the league, failure of a season. And Laporta was saying that, yeah, we worked our asses off to get this squad. It was, an impossible mission, but we ended up pulling it off, and we expect the return on the pitch. And Xavi saying, like, yeah, don't worry, we will do our best, Prezi. We're gonna, try our best and get the boys rallied up or get some trophies up in this piece. So wait and see. But overall, I'm gonna end the video here. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe down below. Let me know your thoughts on the documentary if you watched it. If you haven't watched it, based on what I've given you all the information, what you think about it. Again, I'm only really disappointed about the lack of in-depth new information, new footage. It's basically just use all the footage that has been released in like different ways. So like the 4-0 we won the Clasico, they released some videos on Instagram and YouTube. They basically just used those essentially. So that's that was my disappointment. But I think overall, knowing what the team's objective is, how the team works behind the scenes, how Xavi does his team talks, his presentations, his tactical changes, his tactical learning skills, training, and I think those team meetings before each game, you see Xavi trying to do motivation, and it actually works. With Koeman, it didn't work at all. He tried to motivate them. All the players look at him like with a crying face, but with the other players that look focused and look determined. And I think overall it was a good documentary, but it didn't really reach my expectations. But anyways, I'll end the video here. Again, hit that like button, subscribe down below, and I'll see you guys next time on the channel. Take care, and Forza Barca.